So, why did NEA get into alternative energy?
NEA got into alternative energy for several reasons. When we first started looking at the space about 7, 8 years ago, we found a few things that really excited us. One is it's a massive market, and I don't think anyone can dispute that. And as a firm, a hallmark of our investing strategy for over 30 years has been really going after big markets. I also think that we find that there's a huge pain point, and there were actually several pain points in the alternative energy or the energy technology landscape. And these are pain points that innovation can address, and that's another key key finding that we thought was compelling in order to go after that market. Finally, we like big markets. We like finding ways that pain points can be addressed through innovation, which is what we do well. But it's also our ability to succeed. And in addition to the innovation, I would say it's our global reach, our capital base, and just our network. And so when we put all these things together, we saw a lot of analogies to some of the earlier forays we had into semiconductors and networking and software and healthcare.
Great.
I'm going to make one quick change.
Great.
Very quick.
How much of the eye is wandering?
Not much of it.
Let me start.
Draws attention. Great. So, why did NEA get into alternative energy?
NEA got into alternative energy for several reasons. When we first started looking at the space 7 or 8 years ago, there were a few key features that excited us. One was it was a massive market, and that's a hallmark of our investing strategy over the past 30 years. Also, we found that there were areas where we could differentiate, and that's really where innovation can help you differentiate within these markets, and that's also something that's very exciting, and that advantages NEA's key strengths, in addition to our global reach and capital base.
Great, that's a really nice short one. Past successes NEA had.
I think what the analogies we saw between energy technology and some of the other markets we'd invest in the past, such as semiconductors or networking or software, is there was disruptive changes to the market. There was changes where innovation can really establish sustainable differentiation. And it was such that we had core strengths, whether it's in technology or global reach or ability to scale, where we can put it all together and create some market-changing companies.
Great. In the alternative energy space, did NEA already have personal contacts, people they knew through academia, other kinds of people like that they could call on, or?
Yeah. When we start looking at a space, usually before our first investment, we'd built an ecosystem of relationships. And for example, in the alternative energy space, we had several of our partners who had key relationships with academia, with national labs, with really groundbreaking technological entrepreneurs. And so really we use that as the beachhead to really attack this space.
Great. I'm moving on. How does our historic strength in technology translate, or how is it applicable in this field?
Well, if you look at 3 of our core strengths in technology historically, it's been semiconductors, networking, and software. And each of those, there's analogous markets or applications in energy technology. So semiconductors, a logical one is the whole solar space. And if we really started building our practice on that strength. If you look at networking, a lot of that falls into the energy efficiency and smart grid space. Same with software. So we've seen analogous markets, analogous technologies, analogous applications where we can draw the analogies between our tech practice and our energy practice. And I would say more generically, just the fact that all of these were big markets where we could really attack them and get a significant market share and build really large companies. That also was a key feature.
Great. It's all good. Great. Yeah, this is good. So this is going to be about the shifting over time in the strategy in terms of the energy portfolio. How has the strategy for NEA shifted over time?
When we first built our portfolio, started building our portfolio about 7 years ago, it was really on energy generation. And so that was a lot into the solar space. And we built a very strong portfolio of companies in the solar space. But then beyond energy generation or the supply side, we went into the demand side and started looking at energy efficiency, smart grid, building materials, lighting, energy storage. So can I redo that? I said something wrong. Let me just make.
How has NEA's strategy shifted over time in terms of the alternative energy space?
So when we first started building our portfolio, it was really along the supply side. So that was energy generation. Solar was a key part of this strategy, and our initial portfolio had several solar investments, and we're very excited about the portfolio, and it's progressing and it's scaling significantly now. Beyond the supply side, and that includes, in addition to energy generation, energy storage, and fuel cells, we really started looking at the demand side, and we built a very strong portfolio along those dimensions in the last few years. That includes energy efficiency, smart grid, lighting, building materials. We have now a very strong portfolio that spans the supply side and the demand side, which is, I think, both very key.
That was great.
Well, one is the energy supply side, which is try to make more energy.
Right.
And then we started looking at the energy demand side, which is use less energy. Both are useful. And the demand side is also interesting because it's much less capital intensive. So, but I want to be careful there because then you don't want to throw cold water.
Oh, sleep camera. Yeah. Overall, why don't you tell me about the balance of investments that NEA has in the alternative energy space?
So as we've built our portfolio in the last 7 or 8 years, it's really a very balanced portfolio. It spans the supply side, which is really focused on companies in the energy generation trying to make energy. And then on the demand side, which is focused on companies that are really trying to make much more efficient uses and use less energy. And so that also is balanced in terms of capital needs, as the energy generation side takes more capital, but some of the things we're funding on the demand side actually are a lot more capital efficient.
That's great.
My hair blew back.
Exactly. We've kind of covered this, but maybe there's a pithy answer. What are NEA's key strengths in the space? So,
yeah,
whatever. So technology, people, whatever.
Technology, ability to scale, global reach.
Yeah, and you can do it.
Okay.
Okay. Boom. What are NEA's key strengths in the space?
There's several, I would say. First is the technology and ability to...
But you have to start off like no one asked the question.
Oh, okay, got it.
So what are NEA's key strengths in this space?
I think that NEA's key strengths in the space are several. One is our ability to spot technology and groundbreaking technology entrepreneurs and fund them. Next is our ability to scale, and that's a real differentiator because you need to scale in this space, both capital-wise and operationally. And the third is our global reach, and that most definitely is critical because the energy technology space has really become very global in terms of partnerships, customers, and capital.
Good. I like that. In the emerging markets.
Mm-hmm. One example of a very exciting early-stage energy technology company that we funded that has significant applications in emerging markets is Dia Energy, which is an energy storage company that's going after the initial market is the backup power market for telecom towers in India and Africa. And that's exciting for us because one thing it does is it expands on NEA's global reach, so we're able to help the company. But also as we look at what are the biggest markets, which is a key feature of what we like to invest in, the emerging markets and the GDP growth that comes with that is critical. You can't really have that without energy. And that's what we see that's exciting in these emerging markets. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It's too wordy.
Yeah. I mean,
NEA's excitement in energy efficiency is really the fact that it's a key part of the demand equation for energy, which is the ability to control the energy usage. And one of our most exciting investments in that space is O-Power, which is a software-based company that really deals with it.
Keep talking, just get it out.
One of our most exciting companies in the space is O-Power, which is a software solution aimed at utilities to really help utilities manage consumer behavior and consumer consumption of energy. And that company has scaled on very little capital, and it's becoming one of our key companies in our efficiency portfolio.
That's good. So just where you're going to get to it all. So why don't you tell us about excitement around opportunities in the energy